Well, alrighty, fellas. Good morning. Good morning. It's been a long time, guys. I haven't done a PokeMMO stream since the end of Shiny Wars, and so many things have changed. First things, Moltres is now available in the game. That's a pretty darn big deal. Secondly, my cash stack has been obliterated. 842,000 Pokeyen. Now, I have something pretty big to collect on the GTL, which is going to make up for a lot of that. A nice shiny flip finally sold. This Tentacruel for 3.8 million. I bought it for 2 million a couple months ago. It took a while to flip, but I knew it was a pretty specific flip, and I almost made around 100% turnaround on it. So still pretty happy with that, even though, you know, it took a while. We're going to get our Pokeyen stack back up. I actually have some plans for that over the next coming week. I would like to finally try to work on and actually learning and updating my Jimmy Run strategy. With Rich's Charms coming back to the game, most likely during the Lunar New Year event, I think preparing a Jimmy Run team to be able to Jimmy Run whenever Rich's Charms are back and cheap is going to be really important, as well as just developing my cash stack a little bit before the event actually happens, if possible. So that's the big plans for today. Moltres hunting / shiny hunting over in Berry Forest for shiny executes, Munchlax's chance, and obviously just going for Moltres, the Pokeyen problem, and then preparing for the Lunar New Year event, which should be coming up hopefully on February 10th, February 11th-ish, maybe February 9th. We'll see, somewhere around that time. That's the intro for today. That's what we're planning for. Hopefully, let's have a good day. Let's have a good stream, fellas. Good luck, all shunters. If I used premium lures and happened to get a shiny Shedinja, would it increase its shiny odds? It's actually such a good question. I think so. That's actually such a darn good question. I believe so, because the way that premium lure reads, do I have it in my, okay, let's go to the DC. The way that premium lure reads is that it just gives you, if you encounter Shiny Pokemon, secret shiny rates are increased. It's just a plus 25%. I think so. I think it would actually just give the plus 25% boost to Shedinja. Now, not that that would really matter, because it's just so. Well, well, wait a minute. Do you have to encounter the Pokemon via the lore? I actually don't know. That'd be a really good forum post to ask the devs to clear up on. That's like a really niche, specific mechanical interaction. It's a great question. Dude, some of my favorite questions in chat are always when someone stumps me on something. Those are my favorite questions. When someone is like, hey man, I have this really niche situation interaction, how would this function? And I have to like go ask a million people or like go make a forum post and I can't answer it. It's always fun to learn something really new like that, you know? Cross, you're a genius. Taunt for Munchlax just in case. Yes. Or what's great, can taunt stop metronome? That's the thing, right? So with Shiny Munchlax actually ends up becoming one of the scariest mons to catch in the wild, which is so funny because it has metronome, and the odds of it using self-destruct or explosion or memento or some sort of self-killing move like Final Gambit, like, it's just way too scary to risk. Yeah, it's a status, so you can actually taunt Munchlax, right? Wow. So I absolutely want taunt. Can Dugtrio learn taunt? That'd be so good. I feel like, I don't know if it probably can, right? I feel like that'd be super if someone that fast could learn taunt. So I actually need an Illuminate user or a Pokemon that gives you a 10% bonus increase to encounters when leading your party. I need that specifically with taunt. So it's actually a specific Pokemon that I need to shunt here. Here, if my Spoder can just learn taunt, that would probably be ideal. Wait, maybe this can't learn taunt. Wait, is there any mon? I have to like actually look up. Is there any Pokemon that can learn taunt and like one of, I guess there has to be like Illuminate, No Guard, Arena Trap, Swarm, one of those abilities. Okay, apparently I've seen two options in chat. Volbeat and Kricketune are the only mons that I know of with taunt plus Illuminate or Swarm. That is an interest. Okay. More man, there's always like more utility Pokemon that you need in PokeMMO that are so specific but are needed for specific things, you know? Okay, this is a very funny, the odds of this are very funny, but I have a Jolly Kricketune, right? A Jolly Kricketune with Swarm that I'm going to teach taunt, and the only reason I have this is because I bought it to use as a male bug egg group breeder during Shiny Wars. So the odds of me even having this on me are very funny. Should add Kricketune to your utility Pokemon collection. It learns False Swipe and Sing as well. Yeah, that's honestly a really interesting option. I probably might have to go EV train this thing in 2v2 attack and speed really quick so that I can then use it to hunt for Moltres. All of these like Pokemon really can end up being that like, oh, I gotta do this first and then this and then that to be able to do this sort of. It's almost like Ultimate Iron Man gameplay where you have to do a bunch of things to be able to do one thing. Okay, this is so funny. I didn't expect to be EV training today, so I'm getting all my EV trained mons ready to go and everything. Dude, I forgot I had this. This is a bear tick, right? That I got from an alpha bear tick that I got from a mysterious Premier Ball, which is crazy. And it's like competitive ready. It's adamant, 20 plus in every stat. Like, I kind of wish it had 31 speed or whatever, but like, what are you gonna do? It's gonna be in Swift Swim, so hopefully that, you know, helps out a ton. It's 50 speed base stat is the biggest issue, but we're gonna go EV train this Beartic, this Kricketune utility mon, this Geodude, this Dugtrio, which is for red PVM, the red refight, and then this Magikarp. They're all gonna get trains in 252 attack, 252 speed. Let's go start working on it. I love EV training, man. EV training is super satisfying. I don't do it too much, but man, is it satisfying and fun. Yo, Pat, didn't expect the 2 Mysterious Ball buyouts, expecting the price to go up faster than later, considering the stock is doing already. I mean, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Obviously, I'm sure my video had some effect, but it's just an insane investment, and I feel like everybody knows it. And I feel like it's an investment that, like, there's not really a bubble like there are. These will just sell up so fast. Like, I have a whole video talking over why I think these are such a good investment. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But it really comes down to whales and the ability to, it's the only way in PokeMMO to pay to win to a shiny, to like truly like skip the time. The ability to skip time in any game, if you can credit card swipe to skip time, that is a massive deal and really scary for integrity. But all we can do is really take advantage of it in the market and hopefully push them to not make more decisions like that. But I don't know, whatever we want to do, you know? All right, this is the attack EV training spot that I've been at. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my XP Re-Amplifier. If you don't know what this is or haven't seen me use it, it's essentially an XP all, which is really nice for giving me EVs across every Pokemon here. Here I should get ×5 hordes of Arbok and ×5 hordes of Primeape, which are 2 shinies that I'd be happy about. The only issue with this EV training spot is that it's kind of far to get to, and you do have to use Leppas. But if you like either of these shinies, I think it's a worthwhile spot. Do you think you will actually use the legendaries in this game for anything? It's such a good question, because I go out of my way and I hunt all the legendaries. But the real answer is, pragmatically, I probably don't end up using like 90% of them. I probably end up using Zapdos for leveling at some point, but I have to EV train that and get that all prepped and everything, because having that chance at elemental orbs is kind of cool. So I'll probably get that for XP training taken care of. But other than that, man, like, I'm not really a huge PvPer. If I do, like, maybe I'll make something that's, you know, have them all, have at least all, you know, one of each legendary to have them be able to participate in high level PvP if I need to. Other than that, dude, most of them will just sit in my box as a collection piece. Like, I want to get every single legendary from the first month that it releases. So like this month, this is the first month that Moltres has been in the game, which is really, really cool. So I really, really need to get a Moltres this month, and I've gotten every other legendary the first month they've been released so far. So I got Shaman, of course, I got Entei, Suicune, Raikou, Articuno, Zapdos, and now I just need Moltres. And I've gotten all of those the first month that they're released, which is really cool to me, as opposed to waiting for a rotation. It's a cool collection piece. There's a reason Alpha Pikachu's in the lead right now. I really like Alpha Pikachu. It's not, you don't need an Alpha Pikachu, but a Pikachu that has Discharge and Sweet Scent, so I can take care of those 2, you know, things that I need on my team in 1 Pokemon slot. So I'm able to take out the hordes and summon them with 1 Pokemon, as opposed to needing a whole another Pokemon just for Sweet Scent. And that causes me to EV train a whole, like, 1 less Pokemon. And that saves so much time to be able to EV train 5 Pokemon at once, you know? Do you use some kind of lures? I'm new to the game and it would be fun catching a legendary. I have Sweet Scent. Do I need more? So Sweet Scent you cannot catch a legendary with. Make sure to check out my guide on that for more details. And then secondly, dude, expert lures and the lures you can buy from the Pokemarts are really, really, really good. You should pretty much always, in my opinion, if you're single encounter hunting, you should almost always want to be popping these expert lures. However, premium lures, I don't have any because they're not worth it. Premium lures and legendary lures seem extremely not worth it. The effect is very good, but the price is astronomical. Premium max lures, you end up using around 5 an hour. So it's around 450 or so, like 450, 500,000 Pokeyen per hour to pop premium max lures for 1 hour, let alone like 30 hours or 100 hours for 1 average time of a single encounter shiny hunt. Legendary lures, I haven't really tested since the buff. They did just get aggressively buffed. However, my instinct, I would guess they're still not super worth it. I would guess, but I could be wrong. It's more of a fun thing if you want to piss money away and like have a shot at something funny, but financially, those extra more expensive lures are just super not worth it in my opinion. Opinion on getting the 5 times of the training links, so that you can use the XP Amplifier plus 5 training links. The issue with that, so for those who don't know, let's actually look at it. Let me learn a move on this really quick, but we can look at Training Link plus Amplifier interaction, right? So the Amplifier, Amplifier. Let's read it, right? We don't have any Shiny Charm or anything, so we're chilling. An item which distributes XP and EV among all health Pokemon even if they don't participate in battle. 25% of XP is shared among active Pokemon. The rest is split up against the whole party. That's like the huge benefit, is the fact that like not as much XP is wasted on the starting Pokemon when it's level 100. When you're using the Re-Amplifier versus XP share, you're wasting like 25% more XP or whatever. Now, Training Link doubles EVs but stops XP. And that's kind of the issue, is like XP training already takes longer than EV training. Doubling EVs isn't really going to like it. In my opinion, what happens is if you do this, it's buying 5 of them is so expensive as well. Buying Training Link is really only good for preparing for a new region, for like a new storyline, and keeping that Pokemon like under level 20 so you can start the storyline with that. That's the main use of Training Link. It's very, very niche. Training Link is not very good in my opinion. If I were to put Training Link on my Geodude, let's say theoretically I were to put my Training Link on all 5 of these Pokemon, right? And double the EV gain. The issue is I would get way less XP, and I'd have to like, let's say like if I train without, my Kricketune ends at this location at like level 32 or like 35 or something like that, right? But if I train with Training Link, it's going to end at level 27. And I'm just going to have to go spend that extra time XP training in a different area. So like you're not actually saving any time, in my opinion, when using Training Links. And it's so expensive to get 5 Training Links on top of the Re-Amplifier. It's such an expensive thing for a not very good effect, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that method personally. Also, this is kind of cool. Is this the Fireworks Particle? It shows me a preview of this. Is this the Lunar New Year event particle? It's weird that it was just the normal New Year. It's strange it only has 6 hours left for this. It's seasonal, so it comes back every year, but it is interesting. It's probably just for like, I don't know, some New Year. Kind of neat. Any especially difficult entries to get into the Pokedex? I'm at 3. I'm so glad you asked this question. 100%. Pokedex completion seems like one of those easy things where it's like, oh, I don't need a guide for that. I can just go catch all of the Pokemon. You know, I can just go, oh, I need a Caterpie. I can just go check the Pokedex and be like, oh, let's go get, you know, who needs a guide for that? I really, really recommend you checking out my Pokedex completion guide, because the first thing that players learn, and the first thing you should do, is you should start going for Pheno Pokemon immediately. Do not wait. Like that, the first thing you should do if you plan to go for Pokedex completion, even like months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever, start Pheno farming now. And if you don't know what I mean by that, once again, go check out the guide. It'll help you. Because Phenomons are a pain. The amount of times that I've seen people who are like, yeah, I'm like completed my Pokedex, but I just have to wait for an Alola Mola Pheno. And they're just stuck on that Alola Mola Pheno for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Just waiting. And it's like largely out of their control. It's super frustrating. So making sure to get all the Pheno stuff done ASAP and work on that first. And have, you know, that's the most important thing with Pokedex completion. 27,000 encounters, by the way. That's kind of neat. I got so many encounters during Shiny Wars. Hopefully I don't get a ×5 Horde Shiny. I wouldn't be mad about one, though. Let's go head over to Speed EV training. I think for Speed EV training, I usually go to Linoon in Hoenn, I believe is my usual spot at the moment. Doesn't Dugtrio give speed? Ooh, does this have Surf? You're a genius. Yes, that is actually... Yes, I want to go over to Sinnoh, because I really want a Shiny Dugtrio. That was a great call, Tom. I really want a Shiny Dugtrio. So what I can do is I can go EV train at a spot that I also really want a Shiny for. Now, I like, you know, Linoon's good, but like, if I can just go do Dugtrio, which I've already been ×5 hoarding at quite a bit, that's ideal, you know? Is Moltres the only Shiny, the only Legendary we haven't seen a Shiny for? That's such a good question. Have we seen a Shiny Moltres yet? I'm sure chat would know a lot better than me. Has anyone linked one? There's been a screenshot, a leak, anything? Usually it's been pretty crazy, man. I feel like people have been getting Shiny Legendaries like within the first couple days. So honestly, going 5 days without one would be really, really impressive. Would be super, super impressive. We'll see what happens. They're almost never on the GTL because they're like worth more. Like the reason why is they're realistically worth more than the cash stack limit. Like I think the Pokeyen limit is around like 2.2 bill. It's similar to RuneScape, I believe. But any Shiny is Legendary is probably worth, like the first Shiny Legendary sold for 5 bill, the first Suicune. Now The ones after obviously wouldn't be worth as much as the first one, but especially that we know how like common-ish they can be / are nowadays. But it's still pretty impressive. I've yet to see it posted anywhere. So yeah, apparently we have no proof of any Moltres yet. That is super interesting. That's super cool. Would you rather have 5 bill or a shiny legendary? Man, I think a lot of people will agree with this, but I think I would rather have the 5 bill. Just because if I had 5 billion Pokemon, I'd never have to worry about making Pokemon ever again. Like I could just focus on egg hunting or doing any content. 5 bill, of course, yeah. Like the shiny legendary is cool and it's neat, and I like having pieces of Pokemon history. I don't know if a shiny legendary is quite enough. That maybe the first one. If you ask me, would I rather have the first shiny legendary or 5 bill? I think I actually would rather have the first shiny legendary. That's actually a more interesting question. I think I would rather take the first shiny legendary ever caught in PokeMMO over the 5 bill. But any shiny legendary versus 5 bill, I think I take the 5 bill. It allows me to focus on spending that money on content and doing fun stuff and interesting testing, as well as not having to waste time making Pokemon. There's a lot of benefits to it. Yeah, exactly. That would be. But once again, first shiny legendary ever caught, I would go for that. That piece of history is too cool to me. First shiny shaman or 4.9 bill? First shiny shaman, no doubt. That is too cool. Especially if I've got it on stream, dude. Could you imagine if someone gets a recorded clip of someone getting the first shiny shaman? That would be so unbelievably impressive. How much money have you spent in total for PokeMMO? Like IRL money on PokeMMO? I have spent $10 on this game one time back in 2013 or so, I believe, 2014. Because the only thing that I ever bought in this game was a amnesia brace. Because back then, you kind of needed it. I'm in a weird situation here. I'm actually going to do a log trick, which is kind of funny. This is actually such an awkward situation. I can't run because they have arena trap. Someone's at Pokedoll. I wonder if that'll work. I can't run because of arena trap. I can't log out trick because it would kick me out of the shiny charm, and I wouldn't build a sweet scent for 10 minutes afterwards. I think my best bet is to spam blizzard here and just hope that it hits, but I think they might end up killing me here. 17% from earth power is totally fine. Fissure. If that fissure hit, that would have been so unfortunate. If my blizzard gets off and connects, I don't even know if it'll kill. It's from a bear tick that's adamant. It killed. Okay. It did a lot of damage to most of them. It hit 4 of them. 1 frozen. Okay. Blizzard's my way out of this, even though it's super awkward. Do you think you will need a bunch of Pokemon for this Chinese New Year event? You always want, as much Pokemon as possible going into an event season, or going to an event specifically. Like, I think I usually recommend, like, if you have like 25 million Pokemon, that's pretty much all you'll need. If you have like 25 mil, that is pretty much, like, you'll be set with pretty much get whatever you need. Whatever you want, right? That's pretty solid. I have 12 million saved for the event right now. I think that'll be all right. I think 12 million is like super solid. That'll allow you to do like most things pretty well. You'll be able to get the gift shop vanity. You can buy the RP. What else? You can like spend like that'll like 4 mil or so. You can spend like 8 mil or so in investments. You could buy Pokemon for a team. 12 mil will get you most things. Okay, someone redeemed a price check reward point, so I want to help them out with this. So they linked me this Linoon and they want to sell this 2016 shiny Linoon with 20 plus and a fair amount of stats. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's gonna sell for that much, like less than 2 mil, because it's 2016, so it's not old enough to really be considered like no one cares about collecting it, from my understanding. The IVs are solid, but there's no 31s. Does it have nature? Careful nature could be relevant depending on. We'll see. The way that I would price check this Pokemon is I would go to shiny, yes, egg group, field. Pretty sure it's field. We can double check. Yep, field, just field. And then I would do 20 plus in HP, 20 plus in attack. Or careful's, yeah. We're gonna do 20 plus like this. We're gonna ignore one of the attacks. And we'll price check the other way in a split sec. I'll do 25 plus on these, though. I think that's important. So we'll see what the cheapest one is. So 1.7 mil for this Ponyta. Pretty accurate, like pretty comparable. And then what if we do 25 and got rid of this? The issue is field egg doesn't really need special attack. Yeah, it's even cheaper. Man, 1.25. So what I would do here is I would go based off the attack price check. And just, you have to ignore the special attack. When you have like double good IVs on attack and special attack, most time one of them's gonna be wasted, because most Pokemon don't need both attack stats. And your main competition is this Ponyta, which has been listed for 5 days, pretty comparable stats, but it has 31 attack and a naughty nature, which is somewhat usable. So it's tough. What I would probably list this Linoon for like 1.4 to 1.6. I would try I would do 1.4 to 1.6 mil. Unfortunately, it's gonna be one of the cheaper shinies. Unless Chad thinks I'm missing something, that'd be my price check analysis. That was a good one. I appreciate the redemption. When did they start guaranteeing 31s on shinies? That's a good question. I think it was around 2019, 2020. I could be wrong. Let's do shiny, more filters, caught year. Let's do up to like 20. Well, no, you see them on, you sort by lowest. Well, no, this one doesn't have any though. 2018. I feel like they weren't guaranteed. Maybe it was at some point in 2018. But 1 out of 6 should have already had them. So, but no, you're seeing these. Yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of 2018s with no. I think it was 2019 or 2020 or something like that. 2019, we see these without it. 2020. 2020, do we see any shiny without a 31? I don't think so. So I think there's this one, but was it bred? Apparently hatched. So yeah, that one was okay. That makes sense. So I think it was around 2019 was when they made a 1x31 mandatory on wild caught shinies. I'm gonna go ahead and go switch over to Hoenn and go do Linoon. The sandstorm at this location is causing me to miss too many surfs, and it's kind of a pain. We got the black screen glitch. That should be pretty easy to recreate. I haven't seen it in a while. So if you like double fly to a location or fly too fast, so if I'm gonna fly while I'm still landing, watch the animation happen again, and this will black screen me. And it's really easy to fix as well. This happens like really consistently and really often if you fly too quickly. If you walk into a building and walk out, or refly, it will fix the glitch. All right, here is the Linoon spot, which is to the west of Lily Cove City, which is just really good for speed EVs, a really cool orange shiny, pretty solid. And I won't have the same issue of missing attacks from the sandstorm stuff at Dugtrio. So it's better to just get EV training done quicker so I can actually go shiny hunt at spots I like doing Dugtrio. So someone came in and said, how did I not hear about Pokemon until a few weeks ago? Been playing for a week. Dude, yeah, welcome to the game. There's so many, I come across so many new players who are like, this is the best Pokemon game that I've never heard of. And it's like really the common sentiment. I think one of the biggest things about why this happened, well, firstly, there's no like ads for PokeMMO. So the only reason you find out about it is through like content creators or like randomly coming across it on Google. And there's just not that many Pokemon content creators, especially since over the last 2 years or so, there's been a huge surge. From me and Rodent Ewok and Best Friends and all these other like guys who have been really pioneering the space. But before like 2 years ago, there really wasn't any Pokemon content creators, so there was like literally no advertisement from the game except from like Googling Pokemon MMOs, right? It's really hard to figure out about this game, I feel like, before that. And then also, PokeMMO's player base is super international, right? Like, I would say the largest chunk of the player base, like, this is statistics out of my ass. I don't think this is like a, fact, but like, the like Chinese player base is probably like 50% of the game, or like 60%. It's huge. And like the Spanish speaking community is like 30%, and then the English speaking community is like 10 or 20. Like the game is so international, it's so huge. So if you're an English player, you may not find out about this game because it's way bigger in other places that you don't really interact with or aren't in your normal vocabulary, or aren't advertised in your language. That's like another thing to factor in. Is like it's a very, very international game. It's just hard to find out about Pokemon for a lot of reasons. It's a good question. How many alt accounts do you have with every region completed? Dude, I think literally none, aside from my main account, which is very funny. Alt accounts are awesome, right? But I actually have most of my alt accounts only have Kanto done. And the reason being was that back in like 2013, 2014, 2015, alt running was just one of the best money-making methods. But the only region in the game back then, at least prior to 2015, was Kanto. So what you would do is you would just play Kanto over and over and over again, and that was it. So I have like 18 accounts that have like 4 gym badges in Kanto. But other than that, like I don't think I have a single, like my Road to PokeMMO account, Cool Duder, has I think 3 of the regions done. I think it's Kanto, Unova, Hoenn, but it's missing Sinnoh and Johto. But storylines are easily my least favorite part of PokeMMO, which is why nowadays I try to avoid them at all costs, but having alt accounts with them done is super helpful for sure. You would sell XP shares for currency back in the day, correct? Yeah, there were so many things that you would sell the XP shares. You would sell Earthquake and Rock Slide TMs were really valuable. Like Earthquake TMs reached 100k at one point because it was the best move in all of Pokemon, and you could only get one Earthquake TM per storyline. There was only one, per character. It was really tough. So it was basically like, it's really funny sense. Like it's basically like per one person that completed the Kanto storyline, you could make one competitive Pokemon with Earthquake, and that was it. Like how crazy is that to think about, you know? And if you have a Mon that like needs Earthquake and Rock Slide, well now you got it. Like that's both your TMs. There you go. Gone. I gotta do another one. You gotta grind more or pay shell out the Pokeon form. And like 100k Pokeon back then was like a lot as well. Like that was like, the inflation has definitely impacted to some extent. Like it should to any economy. It's super cool. You should do a tutorial of finishing all regions with one team, going back and forth between regions. There's no other video about it. I actually really want to do a progression guide. I would start with Kanto, because it's easily the region I'm the most familiar with, like Kanto or Unova. I have Road to PokeMMO. If you're looking for like a general guideline of what to do in a storyline and a general guideline of how to progress a new account, Road to PokeMMO / like Road to 1 million Pokeon and PokeMMO is a super good series. However, I'd really like a more succinct, like 1 hour video, where I sort of just go through all of the efficient like bullet points of going through Kanto. And that might consist of picking up a Parasect through Mount Moon. That might be like making sure you catch a Meowth, making sure you catch an Abra with Teleport, like stuff like that. Making sure you go get Surf as quickly as possible, go get Fly as quickly as possible, abuse the GTL as soon as you get 4 gym badges and pick up like a Crocodile. Like I think going through like an efficient play-by-play of each region would be super cool at one. That'd be a big project, but at one point that'd be super cool in my opinion. All right, I think that's done. Speed EV training. 2v2, perfect. Okay, whew. I can finally go hunt for Moltres. Awesome. I might need to XP train my Kricketune a level. Is level 40 enough to take on and run away from everything in that location? That's the main issue. I'm gonna put Scarf on it. It might be fine. It might be fine. All right, time to finally head over to... I'm going to test Barrier Force and see if this is fine. I might need some levels on my Kricketune. I might be lazy and just use some XP candies if I need that XP, so we'll see. Some on Charm and everything as well. We're going to head over to the location and see how it plays out. This is a good question. Pat, if the devs put a ×5 horde of Cranidos, would you quit? Would I quit? Absolutely not. And the biggest thing with... I get this question a lot, and it's a good one. Just basically like a question relating to devaluing shinies that I have personally. I do not care at all if the devs devalue shinies that I have personally. That's not something I care about or worry about. What I do care about is the devs devaluing shinies overall, because in the long term of things, that hurts the game, and it hurts the integrity, and it hurts the value of shinies, and it hurts the feeling, and that feeling of accomplishment and achievement from when you get a shiny. If you don't feel happy or achievement or when you get a shiny, like it destroys the value of shiny hunting. So if they were to give Cranidos specifically a ×5 horde, that would be a huge red flag, and I'd be sad, because it's like, why would you ever want to give a super rare Pokemon a ×5 horde for no reason? If it was added via, like, a good example of this is like adding new exciting hordes once in a blue moon with like a new region release. So a good, and like also like in a semi-healthy way. A good example of this is like the Shiny Dratini hunt, right? So now the Shiny Dratini hunt, Shiny Dratini went from being a single encounter super rod fishing, a fishing shunt, which is really hard, and it took like 500 hours on average, right? 500 hours, you'd run into like 4 Bastions on average, to now it's a ×5 horde hunt. However, it's 20-80 in terms of the ratios. So you see 80% Magikarps and 20% Dratini. Now that hunt ends up taking 150 hours. A hunt going from 500 hours to 150 hours is a huge deal, but I think it's still fair and balanced for a couple of reasons. Number one, it came out with like the release of a new region. So I think devaluing some things over time just kind of has to happen. Like it's okay to like add exciting, it's almost like power creep. Power creep to some extent has to happen. You can't be afraid of ever letting stuff ever get stronger. That's just not realistic. It's not fun or exciting for the majority of the player base. But you do want to limit it as much as possible, and that's how like shiny devaluing kind of goes, in my opinion. Shiny devaluing should happen over time, and that's an okay and healthy thing, but it shouldn't be happening all the time with random things. And like, you shouldn't be like a Cranidos shouldn't be going from like a rare egg, blah blah blah, to like a ×5 horde. That's without like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, and they'll never do this, and they'll never make a horde ×5 for a fossil shunt. That'd be a crazy change. Yeah, it's a good question though, and I think, yeah, hopefully that answers things well enough. You caught this shiny? Wait, this being wild caught did you synchronize for nature? This is a beautiful wild caught shiny. 31 attack, 31 speed, jolly, dude. Wild caught. That is beautiful. Congratulations. Trapinch, Vibrava, Flygon is one of those shiny Pokemon lines where every single Pokemon in the line is so good for different reasons. I actually prefer shiny Vibrava the most, personally, which is super cool. It's like an orange shiny, but Flygon, you always get the blue. Trapinch, you have the like dark green, the forest green. Really cool shiny. That's an incredible. That's one of the best, you know, wild caught shinies you could get. You know, it's super cool. If I sell something on the GTL and it sells immediately, is that from people spamming refreshing or coincidence? It could be a mixture of both. So like if something sells immediately as you're on the GTL, it could be fine. However, if you're listing like 10 things, if you list like 10 things in a row and they all sell instantaneously, this is such a good, like a red flag. Like stop selling stuff. Wait, pause. Because if you're selling a bunch of things and they're all insta-selling, you're probably underlisting. You're probably underpricing something. It could be wrong. That might not be true, but it's always good to like pause for a sec if that's, like, I've made that mistake. Whether you just like forgot to check for species. Like I think one time I was selling Anoriths or something for like 3 to 5K because I was checking based on egg group and like the IVs, when in reality, all Anoriths are like 8K or 12K or more, you know, like checking, you forget to check those things sometimes. So that's a good, like, take that as a red flag and pause and reevaluate your price checks. In requirements to hunt Moltres, just 8 gym badges in Kanto. 8 gym badges in Kanto, and then you just single encounter. And then in Johto, if you want to hunt for, what's the current, is it Entei right now? No. Is it Raikou? I'm not sure what the current dog is. Is it Suicune? I'm not sure what the current dog is in Johto, the legendary in Johto, the roaming legendary. It's Suicune right now. Okay, Suicune right now. That you need to complete the Ho-Oh boss fight for in the storyline. If you do that, you can get it. And then if you do 8 gym badges in Kanto, you can get the roaming legendaries here. So someone asked, yo, what money-making method would you say is the most efficient before finishing the storyline versus after finishing? The answer to this question is shockingly boring, because it's the same method. The best money-making method that is the best pre-storyline versus after in PokeMMO, it's just flipping. Flipping is always going to be the best money-making method in any single MMO. Like any game with an economy. Any MMO, flipping is pretty much always going to be the best money-making method because the potential time input for profit output is just always going to be so insane. The issue is flipping in any single game requires a fair amount of a lot of game knowledge, a lot of economy knowledge, a lot of time, a lot of investment, a lot of upfront capital. There's a lot of upfront costs that go into it, but you absolutely can like flip storyline and end post. It's a really boring answer, but that is the real answer. I personally flipped only cosmetics this weekend as a test and made bank. Dude, nice job. There's so many like subsections you can flip in Poke, you know, cosmetics, you know, different subsections of Pokemon, whether it's like OU competitive Mons, utility Mons like Typhlosion and Breloom, UU Mons, legendary Pokemon as they're being released. I'm sure there's flip room for like Moltres right now. What's Moltres at? Not items. Like Moltres is down to like 600k. I'm sure you could like watch, like if you like sat here and refreshed, I'm sure you could get a cheap Moltres. Also like seeing like this one's like 4 times 31. Like this honestly might be flippable. Like this one right here, it's the cheapest. It's 4 times 31. It might take you a bit, and you have the risk of like prices going down and stuff. But you know, like shiny flipping in general, ditto flipping. There's so many like species that their markets are vast enough and have enough supply constantly coming in that you can just flip stuff in that specific Pokemon, you know, specifically. I have done a lot of 2012 and 2013 flipping. I think those markets are insane potentially for flipping, but the risk is really high. There's just so many ways to flip and so many things to flip in Pokemon in any game pretty much. I agree with all of my years at MMOs since a kid. This is one of the hardest markets to feel 100% about investments. Yes, like I was saying, like Pokemon economies are just so inherently more complicated and more interesting and dynamic than any other game's economy. Because I was saying this earlier, but like if you compare one Swablu to another Swablu, there's 50 reasons why that Swablu is different from another, right? If you compare a Rune Longsword in RuneScape to a different Rune Longsword, they're the same item, same stats, no differences, right? Pokemon is just such an inherently more complicated and difficult market to learn and to price and to understand due to all of these different dynamic things that, are attached to Pokemon. IVs, nature, EVs, particle effects, shiny, like there's just so many things that could, where it's caught. OT can matter. There's so many things to factor in. What's the lowest shiny odds you can get in PokeMMO? I actually love this question because it changed a lot recently with the addition of mysterious balls. And I talked about it semi-recently in like a video. But the lowest shiny rate you can get in PokeMMO, okay, you have to take the lowest shiny rate from the lowest mysterious ball, which is Ultras, I believe, at 1 out of 2,500, right? So take 1 out of 2,500, and then subtract 10% from that from either dinner status or your pop shiny charm. So that's going to be minus 250. And then you subtract 10% on top of that, just 225, from the other effect, the shiny charm or the dinner status. So the lowest shiny rate you can get in PokeMMO is 1 out of 2,025. Now that's obviously if you're popping mysterious Ultra Balls, which cost 100k a piece or so. So it's gonna be really expensive, but that's the lowest. You could pay 200 mil and get the lowest shiny rate in the game, which you can get a shiny in like an hour and a half. 1 hour and 30 minutes on average by doing, which is insane. Like that is absolutely astronomical. Now, however, that's not normal. You shouldn't do that. I don't recommend popping mysterious balls for shiny hunting, but it's an interesting thing to like know about. Now, for most people, the realistic lowest shiny rate you'll see is ×5 hordes with Leppas. And that you would just do dinner status, shiny charm, and that's going to take you down to, I believe it's 1 out of 23,400. I think that's the number. Someone might correct me. I think if is it 1 out of 23,600? It's somewhere around here. It would be 1 out of 30k minus 10%. No, it's 300. Sorry, I mistyped. 1 out of 30k minus 10%. Yeah, I can't do math. So it'd be 27,000, and then minus 10% from this would be minus 270 or 2,700, right? Which gives you, yeah. So yeah, 1 out of 24,300 is the normal lowest rate you can get with shiny charm and dinner status. Now with the there was a recent Christmas effect which boosted shiny rates in general in Pokemon by 20%. I think that brought this down to like 1 out of 19,300. I mean, that would be what, like this number? I think that's around what it got down to with that boost. But that was a like 1 week temporary boost. So, and then you can technically do, if the rate is, let's say the rate is 24,300, you can do like 12 to 1,400. So we'll do in the middle 1,300. You can do 1,300 encounters per hour if you're doing ×5 hordes with Leppas, if you're playing efficiently. So if you take this and divide this by 1,300, this is just a peak, the average, but you could do, you could get a shiny in around 19 hours, but you're also paying, for 19 shiny charms there, which is pretty expensive, and the donator. But it's good to know the theoretical lowest rates, even if they aren't pragmatic or should be even desired for most players. Has the Chinese New Year event given good stuff in the past? Something resellable for big monies? So, before the White Rabbit plush, one of the biggest rising in cost Vanities ever actually released from the Chinese New Year event, which was actually this guy has it right in front of me, the Golden Dragon Mask. However, it's gone down a lot. Chinese New Year event Vanities have historically been extremely volatile. I think even last year, I'm pretty sure last year, the Chinese New Year event is what added the White Rabbit plush to the game, which is now a 30 mil vanity. No, it was the Lunar New Year event. Yeah, Lunar New Year event. So the last Lunar New Year event brought in a 30 mil vanity, which is insane. And the Golden Dragon Mask, this also reached 30 mil after a year at one point. But however, now it's like 10 mil. So keep that in mind. And there was also the Golden Tiger Mask. This one hard tanked though. This was around 4 mil or so during the event, and it tanked all the way down to 1.5. So like, dude, Lunar New Year event RP Vanities might be the most volatile Vanities, or just like Lunar New Year event Vanities in general might be the most volatile in the entire game. I think a huge reason why is because there's a couple reasons. For one reason, a lot of those vanities get hugely beloved. They're either hugely beloved or hated by like the Chinese community. So like obviously it's the Chinese New Year. They really care about that event. It's like there, it makes sense. So the Golden Dragon Mask was like super beloved in the Chinese community, but most other regions didn't really care for it too much. But that community is so large in the game that it really spiked up the price, right? That was like a big deal. And the Golden Tiger Mask didn't really get that love or effect. I think that's something important to consider. And then it comes down to like, there's not as many players. There's just not as many PokeMMO players that are playing around that time. There's not as many people playing the Lunar New Year event because everybody's tired and kind of burnt out from doing the Halloween event and the Christmas event and like the Lunar New Year event is the last event in event season. So it has the least amount of players usually because people are too tired to even really care about it. So those are a lot of factors to consider. But if you want to invest in Lunar New Year event vanities, they're some of the most volatile. When is the anniversary of this game? That's a complicated answer, which is very funny. but yeah, so the anniversary event in PokeMMO, right? The first anniversary event for PokeMMO was held back in June of 2022, I believe. We can actually just check. And that was the 10th anniversary event, okay? So that was held in 2022. They planned to do another one. I think it's got delayed actually until like August or something, didn't it? It got delayed. It was a whole mess. It was supposed to be, I don't know, man. And they plan to do an 11th anniversary event this year around June. And then that got delayed until August. And then that got delayed until November. And then it still hasn't happened. So they kind of skipped the 12th anniversary event, which is kind of insane. So hopefully we'll see a 13th anniversary event coming up next year in 2020, this year in 2024, hopefully around June, hopefully around that summertime. But we'll see. I believe the game itself was released either around that time or around like February, technically. It's a whole weird thing understanding when the actual anniversary is, and we'll have to just see. Yeah, soon TM is unironically the realist answer. We just do an anniversary event every 10 years. We need to skip 9 more. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. So March to October is just grinding season and no fun events. I would say that March to like, let me look at a calendar. March to like June, to like the beginning of June, is kind of like the only off period for PokeMMO if they do anniversary events in June every year from now on, because event season starts October 31st, right? But you should really start preparing for event season in like at least September, hopefully August. I think you should probably start saving Pokeyen and preparing for the anniversary or the event season in general in like early August, because you want to have 2 months to stock up as much Pokeyen as possible, because there's like 3 events back to back to back, right? Which is pretty insane. So if there's an event in June, then you only have July to like chill out and relax until August, and then you start grinding. And then you have events and preparation and work to do from like August all the way until obviously February, until the Lunar New Year event. And then you have until like March is the chill period. So March to like May, or like March to like May you can chill. But then you got to prepare for the anniversary event. Like the event rotation right now, in my opinion, is really good. As long as they've got to get the anniversary event like figured out. And they've got to get that like on track and scheduled, in my opinion. That has to be ironed out, but I think the current rotation's super good. Funnily enough, PokeMMO actually gets the most popular. There's 2 big things. It gets the most popular and the most amount of players during the event season, but it actually gets more during the summertime. During June is where PokeMMO is actually the most popular, like June and July, because kids are off school, teachers are off, like just school staff. It's a big deal. So that's something to keep in mind, is that the game ends up being the most popular, hilariously enough, during the summertime, not even just the actual event season, if that makes sense. How often does PokeMMO get a new region? I haven't answered that question in a long time. That's a good question. So we can actually just go through, like, I would say every 2 to 4 years, historically. So the game released in 2012, right? And then we saw the first new region added being Hoenn in 2015. And then we saw the next region, Unova, in 2017. So it was 3 years for the first new region, 2 years for the next, and then 2019 was Sinnoh. So that was another 2 years. So it was 2 years for 2 to 3 for a while. But then Johto took from, so it was Kanto in 2012, Hoenn in 2015, Unova in 2017, Sinnoh in 2019, and then Johto in 2023. So Johto was the longest one, which took 4 years, which is pretty interesting. So I would say historically, every 2 to 4 years, we get a new region. I think that one day we'll see Gen 6. I have a video talking about it on my channel. But that's all speculation. No one really knows, obviously, but I think it makes sense. There's no reason to really stop. I think every 2 to 4 years is pretty consistent, you know? What was your favorite event in PokeMMO? By far, the anniversary event. Like, there was so much to do. There was so many new mechanics, so many new things. For those who like don't remember, hidden abilities were added via the anniversary event to a huge degree, which is pretty crazy. Like alpha Pokemon were added during the anniversary event. How crazy is that to think? Like, hidden abilities were brought into the game. Alphas were added. Alpha swarms. The anniversary chests were incredible. There was that going on. There was the Alpha Kanto starters were brought in. Like, it was huge. What year was that? 2022. I think 2022 had the best ever. I think the anniversary event in general was the best ever Pokemon event. It's why I'm sad that 12th one hasn't happened yet. Hopefully the 13th or 12th or whatever. Like, I hope the next anniversary event is going to be so good. I'm sure it will be. I'm excited. They teased that they would drop a huge game-changing mechanic, like similar to Alphas, which is always exciting. Do you think the event is taking so long because they're having trouble balancing the new mechanic? I mean, that sounds like the PokeMMO devs, which is that's a good thing. It sounds like they're trying to balance it. I have no idea. I wouldn't even want to speculate. I have no idea what's been taking the next anniversary event so long. I really couldn't tell you, unfortunately. I'm sure it's a very complicated, complex mess. A lot of people will always say, "Oh, the devs are just lazy," and like that's the most uncharitable take you could possibly have. I assume it's something complicated. They're probably just pushing it. They're acting within the game's best interest, you know? We gotta just wait and see what happens, and you know, it's okay to critique them and hold them accountable when they miss a deadline, but you shouldn't just go attacking and hating or assuming the worst is so silly, you know? I can already tell you're gonna succeed here, Gnarly Locks. You said, it's funny because when I grew up as a Pokemon nerd. I'm 31 now. But I stopped playing Pokemon for years and years and went down the MMO route. After playing that, played EverQuest, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, etc., etc. Never touched Pokemon again, so finding Pokemon was very, very nice and a good combination. Like, if you are an MMO fan, you are going to tear up PokeMMO. If you're a Pokemon fan, you're going to have fun. I always say, like, I think a lot of players come to PokeMMO as Pokemon fans and kind of don't really last after a couple hundred hours, which is totally fair. If you get, you know, 300 hours of fun replaying all the storylines with friends and hanging out, you know, for free, that's a W, right? But if you're an MMO player and you're used to grinding for thousands of hours and you're used to, you know, doing all the end game stuff, you're gonna destroy Pokemon. Like, it is a grinder's game, and it's a grinder's, I don't know, dude, play yard. It's so good. If you're an MMO player, you're going to crush PokeMMO. If you happen to also like Pokemon, that's awesome. But if you're a Pokemon fan, you may not enjoy it as long, which is totally okay, and just enjoy it while you can. I think PokeMMO is a great game for casuals and a great game for hardcore players, whichever kind of experience you prefer. So would you recommend completely finishing a region through the Elite Four or getting to a certain point and switching? I would complete one region. Getting your first region done is so important, because it allows you to unlock XP training spots, EV training spots, ×5 hordes, shiny hunting spots. Like, giving you access to level 100 Pokemon in one region is so good for so many reasons. So yeah, definitely getting one region fully completed, in my opinion, is super good. And then all of your other regions will be much easier because you'll have access to all these more powerful things. Watching Pat playing Pokemon while playing Pokemon's base? ? No. Correct. My whole goal with YouTube and my content is that I try to create the same atmosphere that I know that I enjoy. If I'm getting obsessed with a certain hobby, I want to watch daily video and daily content on that hobby. I do the same with like retro video game collecting. I do the same with PokeMMO. I do the same with like tech repairs. Like, I try to, like, whenever I get sucked into something, or like Pal World, for example, I want to like be surrounded by it. And I really enjoy. I think a lot of people also enjoy that. So if I can be that for PokeMMO, that's the dream come true. 100%. I was thinking about this. I actually 100% should get Twitch rewards done by I think Thursday this week is when I'll do Twitch rewards, because yeah, that'll be super important to get done before the Lunar New Year event, so I'm not swamped trying to get that done as well. Hey Pat, I wanted to ask what keeps you motivated when shunting. I've been losing motivation during my current shunt, first one, and I'm at a little under 400,000 encounters. Firstly, that seems crazy. 400,000 encounters. I've been shunning since 2022 on this single hunt. Not sure what to do since it's consumed almost 500 IRL hours. Okay, so wait. Let me stop you right there. So 500 hours to 400,000 encounters does not make any sense. That math does not math. There's no way to get that many. Well, unless you're doing, wait, on this single hunt. Are you doing times 5 hordes? It's possible, actually. If you're doing times 5 hordes, it's I am, when someone tells me they're 400k dry, I'm very skeptical because I've never seen anyone. The driest, okay, it's possible. The driest I've ever seen legit that I feel comfortable confirming was around 360k. It's very possible you're 400k dry. If you are truly 400k, or just, let's say, it's still good, like, I need to not get caught up on the number. Let's say you're really dry. Let's say you're super, super dry. After you finish that hunt, every single other hunt is going to be a cakewalk. Every single, if you can do a 400,000 encounter hunt, mentally, a 30,000 encounter hunt is going to feel like the easiest, fastest thing ever. Like, that's one of the secret powers of going dry on your first hunt, is that it builds your mental so aggressively for the next hunts. And then secondly, you asked about motivation. Now you're reaching pretty extreme levels, so I can't really speak to that to some extent, but in terms of motivation, motivation is one of the hardest skills, or like emotions. You can't really force motivation, in my opinion. It's very like, you can like listen to hype music and like try to hype yourself up, but like motivation is an emotion you largely don't have control over, and you have to just ride the motivation waves as they come and push through when you don't have motivation. If you can push through, like, that's the real thing, is don't try to get motivated, just understand you're not motivated and keep going and push through. And that's, if you can, that's the hard part. If you can do that, that's big. And my biggest recommendations to allow yourself to push through is to not focus on the activity. So, watch anime, watch a movie, watch a TV show, play a game on the side, do something else while playing the game, and that will hugely take your mind off it and still allow you to keep the grind going. That's my advice. Hopefully that helps. Good luck to you. I'm sure whether you're 400k dry legitimately or what, I'm sure you're super legit dry. You are like legit very dry. Good luck to you, man. I hope you get a shiny as soon as possible, and I hope your RNG evens out. You know, I hope like for me, my first shiny hunt went an estimated 300,000 encounters dry, and then my second shiny, I got a shiny Shuckle in the Safari Zone, caught on the 4th ball at 106 encounters. Like, so like RNG does even out. I hope something like that happens to you, and I wish you the best of luck, dude. That's kind of insane that Alpha Xatu ends up being one of the hardest alphas to catch. Magic Bounce ability with Cosmic Power, Roost, Air Slash, and Stored Power. That is so annoying. That sounds really, really difficult. I have not seen this. Did you see that Pokemon is teasing something about Pokemon Black and White on their Instagram? Is that true? That, I mean, that has to be pointing towards a Black and White remake, right? That's like, that's the next game to remake. That's a really big deal. If that's crazy. If they're teasing a Black and White remake, I gotta go check that out. That's honestly a big deal. They posted the endgame cutscene from Black and White on their Instagram with no context. That is super. We'll have to see what happens. That is super interesting. Yeah, I assume Black and White remake will happen. Hopefully it's good. You know, the originals were incredible. Some of the best Pokemon games in my opinion. I think it's a great time. I think the Black and White remakes can make as a really good jumping off point for a certain generation of players. And yeah, what if they do Black and White 3? That would be kind of funny / interesting, as opposed to a Black and White remake they just do. But I feel like the remake is freer money. Actually, I don't know. Maybe Black and White 3 would have enough hype to where that's kind of funny. That's super interesting. Dude, I would love Wonder Trade in PokeMMO. It'd be so fun. Like, I love the idea of like so few people would trade off like shinies or like interesting things in it, but I love the idea of doing it and trying to see, like, it'd be so good for like content as well. Could you imagine Wonder Trading videos for PokeMMO? It'd be so fun, dude. All right, I have been live for a little over 4 hours now, guys, and I'm gonna go ahead and call it here for today. I really appreciate you guys watching. It's been a great stream. I had a lot of fun. I was kind of nervous coming back into streaming for the first time, you know, the real first time streaming back in a week or two, or, you know, or so since Shiny Wars. And you guys made it awesome. So thank you to chat. Thank you to everybody who supported, watched. Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this stream. Incredible service, great way to save time, save money, and get some healthy food in front of you, prepared in minutes. Make sure to check out the link in the description for HelloFresh. Make sure to like my stream and my video if you've enjoyed it. Dislike if not, that's okay. Subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos. I do upload every single day on YouTube, and then I stream Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. My Discord's down below if you're interested in that. If you want to go above and beyond and support the content, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, PayPal/Venmo donations, and HelloFresh. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll be seeing you guys later, and good luck in your shunts, and good luck on your Moltres hunts, guys. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you so much for watching until the very end of the video, and I hope it was a positive asset to your day. The same way everybody listed here is a positive asset to my day, going above and beyond and allowing me to make content every single day. Thanks so much for watching, and have a good one.